Former Trump campaign and White House strategist Steve Bannon is not going out with a whimper. Bannon gave a blistering interview to the Weekly Standard, declaring the Trump presidency he fought for is over. Joining me now, Dr. James Peterson, author, historian, and MSNBC contributor, and Sophia Nelson, author and former House GOP committee counsel. Welcome to you both. Sophia, to you first here. What's your take on Bannon's departure?
Well, Alex, first of all, it's good to be back on with you. Bannon, I think, is more dangerous outside of the White House than he is in the White House. What do I mean by that? Listen at his language. He's going to get his weapons. We're going to go to war. These are the type of buzzwords and code words that the white nationalists, the white supremacists, and the alt-right live for. And I think that he's going to get out back on Breitbart, and he's going to do his thing, and he's going to be 10 times what he was before he went into the White House. And perhaps it's even a strategy that they had to let him go because the optics were really bad given the events of Charlottesville and in the nation in the past week. And I really think he's going to be more of a problem outside of the White House. He was somewhat muzzled in the White House, if you think about it. Now he's unleashed. What
do you think, James? Do you think he is overstating his own power by declaring the nationalist presidency over with his departure? Or do you think he thinks establishment Republicans are going to try to steamroll the president?
Well, I think he feels that he's been rejected in certain ways because of the sort of national outpouring of outrage in response to what happened in Charlottesville and in response to what the president's comments were in response to what happened in Charlottesville. So I think he's taken some L's in some ways. But I agree with Sophia. There's a way in which Bannon outside of the White House and Bannon unleashed means that he will be able to stoke the flames of white nationalism much more directly through Breitbart. And I hate to say this, but there are a lot of folks who now see him as kind of a martyr of Trumpism. Like he's kind of been martyred throughout this process, and that gives him greater sway with the kind of folks who are like demonstrating today in Boston and the kind of folks who are demonstrating in the Unite the Right demonstration in Charlottesville. And so we'll see how these things unfold. But clearly, Bannon is great at propaganda. He now has a narrative to bolster some of that propaganda because of his experience inside the Trump White House, but also because of the ways in which he was pushed out of it. And so I think we should look to see how he's going to either help or hurt this president going forward.
And Sophia, Bannon is now quoted as saying, and to both of your points here, I feel jacked up. Now I'm free. I've got my hands back on my weapons. I can fight better on the outside. So you said you think he's dangerous. What do you think this fight looks like?
Well, to say you're jacked up, you're amped up, you're ready to go, you're ready for war, that rhetoric is scarily, if you will, similar to what those marching in Charlottesville and otherwise are saying. It is, we're going to take our country back. We're not taking this. You're not going to wipe us out. While Bannon hasn't used those exact words, he's going to use his platform because if you think about it, right, Alex, when you come out of government and you've had a high position, whether on the Hill or in the White House, now you have more access, you have more power. He has a different platform now, Steve Bannon, that is, than he did before he went in, because now the mainstream media will actually talk to him, whereas before he was seen as on the fringe, Breitbart, but he can write a book now. He can do a lot of things now because he's been inside the White House for the last 8 months. So I am absolutely concerned about the rhetoric and the what's going to happen as a result of him coming out of the White House.
Yeah, inside the White House with a top security clearance as well.
Yes,
he had. James, recently Breitbart waged a campaign to try to get National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster fired, and Bannon even told the American Prospect there's no military solution to North Korea. And that he said that because he didn't see a playbook yet that didn't have the decimation of millions of South Koreans there. So with Bannon gone, do you think we should be more concerned about military action against North Korea?
No, because I think McMaster actually also understands that there are very limited options when it comes to North Korea. I don't think anyone is interested in going to nuclear war. People might talk a big game, but at the end of the day, that doesn't seem like any way, or it doesn't seem like that situation will be resolved that way. What's interesting to think about Bannon's role in this is that, you know, Bannon is into this sort of anti-globalist rhetoric. And what he tries to do is he tries to be very, very consistent about that across his economic ideology and across his sort of his foreign policy ideology. So at the end of the day, attacking or going to war is not within the framework of continuing this anti-globalist message that Bannon and Breitbart are so invested in terms of what they thought Trumpism was supposed to be in the first place.
So, Sophia, Go ahead.
Well, Alex, I was saying, I don't know if I agree with that. I think the issue with North Korea is going to be the commander-in-chief and what he's going to do. I mean, at the end of the day, the Joint Chiefs are there. He has advisors, the national security team. But at the end of the day, what we've seen from this president over the past week and consistently as a candidate is that we don't know what he's going to do. We don't know what he's going to say. The rhetoric on Twitter has been irresponsible vis-a-vis national security. I don't think that's something a president should talk about on Twitter. And I think that if Kim Jong-un is as crazy as I think he is, and Trump is as not so stable as I think he is, I think we have a problem there because either one of them is erratic and you don't know what they're going to do.
Given what's happened this week, Sophia, Bannon also said to the American Prospect that white nationalists and neo-Nazis are a collection of clowns, adding that the Democrats, the longer they talk about identity politics, I got them. So
Yeah.
what does that mean? Do you think the president's position on these groups that he took earlier this week, is this all political strategy?
I think is, like my grandmother used to say to me, crazy like a fox. And I think President Trump is crazy like a fox. I don't think he's as, maybe as we all think he is not doing what he's intentionally trying to do. And I think his comments post Charlottesville, first the apology he didn't want to give or the statement he didn't want to give, then he came out and said what he really meant, and then Bannon leaving and all this rhetoric, they believe, meaning Bannon and Trump, based on how they won this election. And they won this election with 64% of white males and 53% of white women. It doesn't mean they didn't get other voters of color, but if you look at the numbers, Hillary lost badly with white men voters and with white women. That being said, they believe that identity politics, discussions on race, taking down Confederate monuments, etc., works to their favor for their cause, and it gins up their base. And I think they may have a point.
All right, Sophia and James, you guys stay right where you are, please, because I want to talk to you about what happened in Charlottesville a bit further here. These magazines making some bold statements with their covers following President Trump's comments. Are they fair? Your answer's next.